allow us to bring in our special guest. It is Monsieur Bertrand from, where do you live?
Montreal, Canada.
I said it correctly.
You certainly did. I appreciate that. That's quite a nice touch of yours.
Well, but his name's not Nick Bertrand, it's Bear. It's always Bear.
As Bear on the ground. A lot of people at Spartan call me Bear.
Okay. Well, I will certainly call you Bear.
Okay.
But occasionally I'll call you Monsieur Bertrand.
Oh, that's when you know things are getting real.
So Dave tells me you've worked with Spartan since you were 9 years old.
Actually, 8.5, but yeah.
It was in utero.
So no, yeah, I started Spartan when I was 16, just right out of high school, basically, and just fell in love with the brand, with what it represents, and just kind of kept going with it. And the work is great. Big fan.
How many languages do you speak?
Only 2, English and French. I try to sound fancy and say I speak some Spanish, but only a couple words here and there. So, but no, English and French mostly.
So, when people are building courses out there, is the build crew like half English, half French? So you just have to go back and forth. Is it mostly English?
Well, we try to have a main language just for communication sakes. It's difficult to have 2 languages on comms, and race day things happen. We have to be able to understand each other, so we try to revert back to English. But this year it's funny. Actually, usually it's always just English speaking people, but we're trying to bring in some French speaking people as well. My personal contacts that I know that we're going to build a really good team. So, but it's a requirement that everyone speaks English.
Well, I think anybody who knows anything about communication knows that all the real conversations happen on the other channel, right? So, I'm talking to you and I'm like, hey, switch to 2, right? So then you switch to 2 and then we go another language. Now it's next level of, right?
And that's what they do, right? That's because there's a lot of us, most of the English population, we don't speak French very well, but most of the French population can speak English. So when we screw something up, as you know, the English guys, then they start speaking French about how bad we screwed it all up. And that's when it happens. So they don't even have to leave. It's just right in front of you. It's just,
it's right there. It's the French hospitality.
Have you, in fact, ever said sacre bleu?
Sacre bleu. That's a good one. I like that one.
Have you actually ever said that at a course?
I have not. It's not one of we are so Quebec French and French from France, the real French, is a little different. So we have kind of different lingos. So that's not the kind of things we say, but
it would be tabernacle.
Oh, exactly. He knows. Yeah. Maybe he's heard me once or twice. Because Dave, you came and helped us last year. Matt, did you know this?
Yeah.
So he came over and helped us at a Blue Mountain race, and it was nice having you there, man. It was really good, and the sign that your girlfriend did as well was. We have it back this year. We're trying not to change it until maybe we get to Quebec, because those Canadian flags might not be great, but that was a great song. I really liked it.
Yeah, she's done well. And I remember probably the highlight was the 8-hour trip driving the forklift up the mountain at 2 miles an hour. Like, it was just it's so slow. Driving on the road, we're driving on the road, I'm driving the forklift following Bear, and we had to drive around the mountain to get to the top, so just the regular roads. And the forklift will not go more than 4 miles an hour. And it was probably a 45-minute drive.
Yep, slowly crawling out the joys.
Well, I believe that's his wife, though.
Nick. Yes, she's my wife now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's amazing.
Okay.
Good for you. That's awesome.
All right. Well, it's 3 minutes in, and you said sorry. That's about the over/under of Canadians on our show. So good job. You're here to break some news. We're honored that you chose this program of OCR Info to do that. And what are you here to tell us, sir?
Absolutely. Well, we want to proudly announce, maybe you guys have seen a couple teasers online, but we are announcing, drum roll, the Spartan Canada Montreal venue. Everyone's been waiting for it. There's been a lot of speculation about where it is, and maybe some people will be right about this one. But yes, we're going back to our 2013, 14, and 15 venue. We're going to Mont Tremblant in Quebec. So big venue, big mountain, a lot of elevation. So that's going to be a good one. But there's a lot to do around the mountain as well. Good trails. So Mont Tremblant is actually on a conservation area or in a park, national park, and there's like a bunch of trails everywhere. So I think it's going to be a really good product for especially the Beast, the Ultra, since we're going to have the Sprint. We're going to have pretty much all distances there: Sprint, Super, Beast, Ultra, Kids, and Hurricane Heat. We're going to have all that there. So basically, anything you want to do Spartan related, that's going to be the place to be. And there it is. Absolutely. So that's Tremblant right there. Big Altera mountain. So as you can see, the village is there. Good place to bring your kids. Hopefully ski in the winter. But we're going to be on the north side. So the side that you're seeing on this side is the south side where all the village is, and it's a quick 10-15 minute drive over to the south side. But north side's going to be all ours for the whole weekend, and we're going to have our race right there. So I'm very excited.
And you said there's going to be an ultra, so that means another ultra in Canada. And
absolutely, yeah. We wanted to make sure that we cater to most markets with our longer distances. So yeah. So the ultra in Montreal is going to be well received.
Sorry, I have to interrupt here. We are looking live at some cams. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
You got to get these things functioning for the race. So this is looks like the top of which trail or top of. I know this has nothing to do with OCR. I don't care. Live cams is amazing.
All good. I was there. So I was there just a week ago to do our first initial site visit. So what you're seeing at the top there is actually the top of the entire mountain. And from there, you can decide to go on any of the different sides that you want to go. So north, south, it's quite a big mountain. What we're seeing there on that picture there is the south side. So it's a really big village, actually, quite comparable to Whistler. I think it's even a little bit bigger than Blue Mountain itself. So a lot of accommodation, a lot of activities to do there. In the summertime as well, I know there's like a aquatic park and everything. So it's a good time. If people come from anywhere else, it's a good place to stay.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think bottom to top, you're looking at about 2,000 feet of gain.
I don't know the answer to that, but I think there's a lot of gain. I don't even know if we're going to make it up all the way up with the Sprint and Super. I have to do a lot of the design work, just because there is so much on the way up. There's even a trail that I think is 5 kilometers long from the top to the bottom. And so obviously a sprint is 5K. So going up and back down would get you to 10. So we can't really do that, but we're going to try to get as many people to the top as possible. It's a great.
So you're not sure, you're saying how many times you're going to go up and down it?
Well, so I think it's surprisingly, there's some flat spots across the mountain, and those flat spots are important for us for build locations, obviously, for a big, we got the whole US production now, so we got the big obstacles. And surprisingly, there's a lot of flat spots going up. So I don't know what the course is looking like. I don't want to make any promises, but we're going to try to not make the typical Canadian up and down courses as much on this mountain. And with talking with the venue owners there and the venue POCs, I think we're going to find some really good running terrain as well, just not just power hiking.
So my understanding is that this is your first time back since when?
I've been working with Spartan since I'm 16 years old. I've been there as a construction manager before, and now I'm taking over as the race director and the operations director. But I haven't really left. I mean, I was on furlough for a couple months back in early.
No, I meant your first time at this venue since what year?
Yes, absolutely. My bad. So We're back since the last time we were there was 2015.
Wow.
2015 was the last time we were there. It was a fan favorite, and so I live close by, right? And every time I say, people ask me, "What do you do? What's going on?" I say, "Oh, I work for Spartan Race." "Oh, is that the thing that goes on in Tremblant? Is that the Mont Tremblant race?" I'm like, "Well, we were there a couple of years ago." So it's widely known that it's there. I remember the first race. Tremblant was actually my first race, so it's a nice nostalgia piece for me. But I remember the first race day, there was people everywhere. There was 18,000 people over 2 days. And so I think that was a big marker for our brand and everything. But so yeah, I'm excited to go back there and hopefully get as many racers on the course.
So do you go back to like the Salika days, like all the way back?
Yeah, Salika and Richard. Yeah, they were my first bosses.
Wow. So for history's sake, do you want to tell people who they are?
Certainly. So, Salika and Richard originally were part of the original six. I think they call them the original six people who created, imaginated, Spartan race as it is today, or in the construction of what it is today. And so they were the first licensees of Canada. So kind of like a franchise, like a restaurant franchise. They owned the rights to operate in Canada for a couple of years. And so that's how we ran the business back then. So they operated a four Spartan race, and they created most of what, in collaboration with Joe and all the different people, what is Spartan today. So they took their retirement. They're back in England now and running weddings and having a great time out there. And then another organization came after that, another licensee. And then back in 2020, Spartan US took over Spartan Canada as a business entity. And then here we are.
Well, legend has it what Salika told me back in 13, 14 was her and Richard were actually like hiking through Vermont, and one of the peak death rate or peak races was happening. I don't think it was the death race. I think it was just one of the mountain races. And they were like, Richard was like, well, I'll do it, because he was an adventurous type. And the next thing you know, they're talking to Joe, and Joe's launching this worldwide. Well, at the time, he wanted to make it worldwide. And so he got them to be the first licensees of Spartan, which I think is pretty cool. And that's also kind of how Joe works. Like, you sort of wind up in his orbit. That's sort of how the world of Joe works. He doesn't really look for people. They just sort of find him. So Dave, what questions do you have about this venue, and then about the overall season, if you've got some questions there?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously being Canadian here, I get a lot of people reach out to me for stuff. So probably one of the first questions I'd have is, we were supposed to have Spartan in Quebec, say back 2020, whatever it was, when everything went awry. It was always a problem nailing down the venue. And then finally, even now this year, we're a little later on the venue now. So why was this one so tough to nail it down and to come to announcement?
This venue is difficult because they play at high stakes, and they made it very clear for us that, kind of like Whistler, kind of like the other big mountains, we're just a drop in the bucket, honestly. The POCs there do it out of passion, for events and for us, but the mountain doesn't really need us there. So I think that's one of the factors. Also, right in the middle of the ski season, a lot of people who would be wrapped up in events usually aren't really answering their phones, and so it took us some time to get to them, and they have so much work right now going on. So I definitely understand that, but I think that's the main reason why it was so difficult to get a venue. And then in general terms, I think your question was maybe oriented in Quebec in general. It's difficult to find a venue in Canada that has a lot of the things we're looking for when we're looking for a venue. And the biggest one, it's funny, you would never think about this, but parking.
Yeah.
We don't have very big venues that accommodate a lot of people in Canada, except for, the very well-known, downtown Toronto, downtown Montreal, like Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and, these big venues that have a lot of parking. And so, we're getting 5, 6, 7,000 people over 2 days. We have to find a way to, a big open lot. So we can't just go to any, ski hill. We can't just go to any park. It has to be of some size. So that's been a big struggle on our side.
So, and then another question a lot of people had is Blue Mountain is it appears to be a no dig venue, so you don't get the rolling mud, you don't get the dunk wall. I'm going to assume Tremblant is the same.
I've spoken with them about it. They're not close to the idea. The big thing with Blue Mountain is that they're on the Niagara Conservation Escarpment. So that's the main reason why they can't dig there, is just because the conservation won't let you do it. But the Tremblant venue, they weren't close to the idea of digging. I think we just need to find the right spot, and also the ground is mostly just hard, solid rock. So finding the right spot in the course is one thing. Finding the good terrain to do it, making sure there's no utilities, and then making sure that it's well taken care of afterwards is their big issue. I'm going to try really hard to have it there. I think the dunk wall is one of those signature obstacles, kind of like the spearman. Maybe not as identifiable as the spearman, but I think it's one of the big ones, and I definitely want to make sure it's at as many races in Canada as possible.
I mean, I'm okay if you don't put it in there. It's fine. Like I can stay dry, dude. It's no problem.
You don't want to get wet?
Not getting wet. Dude, no, you know what? It's not my deal. Some people love. You know what though? Actually, when is this? It's going to be in June, right?
It is. I didn't even say the dates.
Yeah, yes, say the date, man.
19th.
So say that again. Cut it a little bit.
Sure thing. It's going to be June 18th and 19th in Mont Tremblant.
So it should be at least a little bit warmer. It can't be too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm okay. If you don't want to put the dig in, don't dig. It seems like a lot of money, a lot of work. Just leave it. I'm fine. It's okay. I don't mind.
It's a lot.
But this is kind of a question about the overall series in general, because we've heard some stuff in the States, and in some of the States races, there might not be an elite wave at certain races. Those waves might not pay out, and you may or may not know this. So I don't care about the States, but for the Canadian races, will there be elite waves at every race? And will those waves have like the standard Spartan payouts?
I'm not aware of the payments and the prize money as much. I think we're still working on that at the moment. Okay. So I can't really answer you on that part, just because I'm not in the know on that side. I think there's still some things to be said about that. In terms of elite waves, we will have elite waves at all our events. Even if it's a national series, which we know this year is aimed at the age group, which I find is amazing. But we will also have the elite waves going off. So, for example, right before we're going to do elite, like we usually do, elite waves, and then age group afterwards. So not a worry to be found there.
Okay, and Tremblant is going to be part of that age group series too, right? Isn't that going to be the sprint?
Tremblant, let me take a look at this real quick. Yeah, the National Series Sprint, exactly. National Series Sprint is going to be there. So I'll call to all age groupers. If you're a fast runner and you want to get through the course and you want to get some prize money and some rankings out there, then that's your race right there.
All right, and a couple other changes for the season this year. We noticed there's no ultra at Blue. I guess I'm going to assume that's just because you're only going to do like, what is that, 2 ultras throughout the year, and that would just be too many.
Yeah, it would be too many ultras, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work to put one of these races on, especially if you're, if we were just doing an ultra, that's one thing, but if you're building all the other distances, it's a lot of work as well. But I think that with the Montreal race and having the other distances as well, I think it's going to be a good one. Having one out west and one out east, I think is a good amount of races. We don't get a high number of racers for these types of very long races. So our registration count is probably at around under 300, I would say, per race. So making one in the east and one in the west, I think makes a lot of sense. And the people who do them, have you done an ultra before?
You couldn't pay me enough to do an ultra.
Well, so that's what I mean. That's the best thing is like the main thing, actually, these people are dedicated. If they want to run an ultra, they'll come and get, I think that even if you're from the Toronto area, driving a couple hours out to Montreal. If you're really dedicated and everything, I think we're going to see you out there.
Oh yeah, it's what, like 6 hours? I think it's like 6 hours from Toronto to Tremblant.
Yeah,
Obviously
6
depending on
hours, and
where
I
you're
think
at.
yeah, you got to drive a little bit north now to Tremblant, so maybe 6.5, 7 hours.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And this is one directly was asked to me this morning. Seasons passes. Does the standard Canadian season pass cover the North American Championship?
Ooh,
Out
that
in,
is a good.
Yeah.
I think it would. Sorry, say your question again. The season pass.
So yeah, you got a Canadian seasons pass. Does that
Yeah.
cover the North American Championship race out in Kelowna?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, North American Championships out of the U.S. for the first time. I guess you guys broke the news a couple weeks ago, but that's going to be interesting as well. I think it's going to be a good race. And yeah, if you have the season pass, that race will be available to you. Of course, it's in Canada, so there's no reason why we wouldn't include it in there. And that's going to be quite the event. That's going to be. I was just on another podcast, but saying this as well.
What on another podcast?
I didn't know there was any other ones.
What's that?
I didn't know there was other podcasts.
No.
How dare you?